Hey, this is Mark. Today I've got a little unscripted Photoshop example of creating a small custom graphic for a pinball table. So as you can see here, I've got a red plastic drop area that goes in the front, and I had some rough edges and a couple of small cracks. Nothing that wasn't too terribly bad looking, but I thought it needed a little something, so I tried putting some tape on it, and unfortunately it didn't turn out very good. So the plan is to create a custom graphic, and I thought I'd just show you how I do that in Photoshop, and hopefully you can use that technique in your own projects. Alright, welcome to my little unscripted tutorial on using Photoshop to do a little work on pinball art and graphics. So as you saw in the previous picture, I've got a graphic area that doesn't look all that hot. In this particular case, there's nothing to copy or anything like that, so I'm going to just create something new. And my son is a member of the Seattle Firefighters, so I just did a search, an image search for Seattle Fire Department. There's a couple of nice looking graphics that I could use. I'm not sure I should have the words City of Seattle on there though, so I think I'm going to cut those out. Looking at those, that's a 475 by 300. That's pretty low res. 344. This one's 1200 by 849. So that sounds reasonably okay. Right click, copy image. All right, and now in Photoshop, this is an older copy of Photoshop CS2, but most of the stuff should be about the same. Because you've got something in the clipboard, when you do a brand new, pick new image, it'll automatically go to the size of that image. And then I just do a Control V, paste it in. I now have my image. Of course, this is not what I want. What I really wanted, I measured it, and it is 3 inches by 1 inch. So we're going to do new, and we're going to pick 300 dots per inch, or pixels per inch, because that's a standard high def, high res print. We're going to switch to inches, and I'm going to do 3 inches, and it's 1 inch. 3 inches wide, 1 inch high, 300 dots per inch. Alright, so now I've got that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to let's see, I'm going to do a Control A, Control C. So I selected the whole image, copy it, going to go to here, and I'm going to paste it. Get rid of that, I don't need that. Alright, so this is not obviously going to work. You do a free transform. I right clicked on it, pick free transform. Now this is how you scale and move and all of that kind of stuff. So I just hold the mouse button down, kind of move it around a little bit. Okay, so it's too big at the moment. So you can do a view, zoom out, or if you look at that on view, it's also Control minus and Control plus. It doesn't use the wheel like many things do. But anyway, now I've got the little corner pieces, so I can grab the corners, and you can kind of do what you want with it. You do want to be careful. In many cases, you want to be careful about getting it distorted, because round becomes oval and that sort of thing. So what I'm going to do is hit escape. Let's try that again. Alright, right click, free transform. If you hold the shift button down, now you can see it'll scale, but it won't distort. So I hold the shift button down. Yeah, let's see. So I don't think I want it quite that big. I'm thinking about something about like that. Control plus to zoom in. Okay, so I'm looking at this. I'm looking at this like, okay, here's a piece of paper that's going to be taped onto that thing. I want it to look nice, like it's fire department, but not so much that it says something or it looks weird. Okay, so there we are. What I just did was double click. That told Photoshop to accept the changes I've made with free transform, and now I can kind of go in and do what I want to do. Oop. All right, so I want to do a couple of things. I don't really want white around the edges, so what I really want to do is kind of go with a red. So I'm going to go to Fill, Paint Bucket. Whoop, I don't want gradient. I just want the paint bucket. We're just going to fill with a color. And I really want just red. So I'm going to go to Swatches and pick red. Now you can see over here the foreground color that it's going to choose is a red. If you double click on it, you can see that we are at 255, which is the maximum of red, 0 for green, 0 for blue. So it's as red as it's going to get. Alright, so now I just go in and I click in the area. Bam. That is not what I wanted. Alright, Control Z, back out. And now that doesn't look too bad. Okay, so what's happening here is the original color, this color is kind of a, I don't know if it shows up on the screen, but it's kind of a pinkish color, which is a little weird to me. So you got to be careful when you're using this thing. When I hit over here, it's currently set to 100% opacity, so don't let anything show through. Tolerance we don't really have to worry about because there isn't any grayscale on this. Anti-aliasing is just so that the edges look nice. Continuous or contiguous is the key here. If you click that, it means only the things that touch. So it'll just do that one thing. Let me exit out. If you unclick that, it means anywhere in the whole in the whole image. So anything black anywhere in the whole image. So poof, everything. So that's not what I want. So we're going to turn off contiguous. Actually, I'm going to turn on contiguous. Sorry, turn off contiguous. I want to get all of this pinkish and turn that kind of red. And then we're going to turn on contiguous, and I'm going to get rid of this red or the black kind of around the edges. There we are. And I want to get rid of the white, make that red, and over here. And I think that's pretty much what I want. I think that'll look nice. We'll see how it goes. So now I just go to print with preview. I don't care if it's right in the middle of that. Well, let's not center it. Let's move it up to, I don't know how to do that. How do I tell it? Okay, 2 inches down from the top. How about 1 inch down from the top? That way I've got this paper that's sticky back paper, and it will it'll look better that way. Or I can cut off this couple of inches of stuff and keep that sheet for something else. Alright, so 100% scaled. I don't want it scaling. And we'll print it. I'm just going to print on a regular piece of paper right now, cut it out, and see how it looks. So we'll give that a shot. Print, sending to the printer, and we'll go see how it looks. So here we are. I've cut out, I printed it out on just a regular piece of paper, cut it out, and we'll see how it looks. I'm just curious to see how it's going to look from a aesthetic point of view. I just put a piece of tape on it temporarily just to see what it's doing here. So if we do something like that, how is that going to look? That doesn't look too bad, I think. Looks kind of like it's supposed to be there almost. The red looks okay. Looking at the size of the black here,
I'm wondering if I should thicken up the black a little bit on that, make it look a little more like everything else, and that way it'll look a little more like it's supposed to be there. And then I'll print out a good one, and well, it'll be easy.
Okay, so here we are, taking a look at that previous picture on the machine, thinking maybe you might want to increase the size of the black outlines a little bit. So let's do a little bit of Photoshop magic here. Up here we've got the in the selection areas, we've got the magic wand tool, and again, this is the tolerance. I don't really have to worry about because it's just there isn't any grayscale. This is how much of a gray you want. And then again, the contiguous or not. So in this case, I don't want any contiguous. So we can just click in the black somewhere, and bam, it selects all the black everywhere in the entire image. Now that it's selected, you could do what you wanted with it. If I hit the delete key, poof, all the black is gone. Control Z. I don't want to do that. In this case, what I want to do is make it a little bit more. So I'm going to go up to the selection menu, modify the selection, and expand it. Let's expand it by 1 pixel and see what happens here. Alright, so it's a little hard to see. If I zoom in, you can see the dashed line there is a little bit bigger than it used to be. So let me zoom back out. Well, zoom in 1. Alright, let's see how this is going to look now. So now I'm going to do is go to the black paint gradient and turn off contiguous and just say I want everything. Alright, so now it did a little bit, but it didn't do all of it. You'll notice here that there's still some red inside, between the dashes there. Why is that? Because of the tolerance. So we got a couple options. I could set it to tolerance of 0, and that way when you do a fill, let's see, is it tolerance 100? And that way when you do, there you go. When you do a fill, it goes, I don't care what else. I don't care what it was. I'm just going to do it. Or you can, since that's selected, and selected means everything else is ignored, you could go in with a paintbrush and just pick a gigantic paintbrush like that and just go, I'm just going to paint, because I don't have to worry. It's not going to paint anything except what's selected, and the only thing that's selected is what's inside the line. So now let's take a look. How does that look? And let's see here. I'm not sure I want that. The fire department is kind of muddy looking. So let's back out. I'm doing edit, step backwards, Alt Control Z. You can step all the way back to the point where you started the document, typically, and there we go. So now we're back to where we were. Okay, so I think, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to magic select again, only this time I'm going to go in and use the rectangular selection, and then if you use the Alt, if you hold down the Alt key, see there's a tiny minus sign next to the cursor there. If you hold down the Shift key, whoops, where'd it go? If you hold on the Shift key, there's a tiny plus sign which allows you to add to it. But in this case, I want to subtract. So I'm going to draw a box around the word fire department, and bam, that is no longer part of the selection. So now I can go in, do my selection, modify. Let's expand it by 2 pixels and see what happens here. 2 pixels. And now we will go into fill, set the tolerance to 100, and it's still not doing it, is it? Huh. I can never remember why. I usually end up just doing the drawing thing because I know that works. There we go. How did that come out? Yep. Now you can see that it totally filled in the area that's been selected. And get rid of the dashes. That looks a lot better, I think. It's a bolder black, and so we're now going to print that and see how that looks. I think I'll print that out on sticky back paper, and we'll switch over to the table and see how putting it on looks. Okay, so I have printed out my final copy on sticky back paper and put a layer of clear piece of Mylar over the top, and then trimmed it so it's all ready to go. It should, if I can put it on there correctly, it should look really good. I think it's going to look sweet, just like it was supposed to be there. So we're going to see if we can. This is always the hardest part, I think, because man, once you've stuck it on, then you're stuck. All right, I think. Let's see if that is going to work. I think I probably should have taken the plastic off around. Oh, I got a wrinkle. I should have taken the plastic off. See, can I peel it? Yes, it still peels. All right, try putting it on the right way. Hey, that works much better. All right, and there we go. You know, I got to trim off the rest of that extra tape, but I think it actually looks pretty much like it's supposed to be there. So that's a nice little quick and dirty way of adding a graphic if you want to customize, or if you want to fix a small problem like that and on your pinball table. Thanks.